I found out my boyfriend took a trip to see his ex and his child without telling me, and he still tried to make me feel guilty. I swear it felt like the ground opened beneath my feet. It wasn't a suspicion. It wasn't some romantic intuition like in the movies. It was a message. A simple message that wasn't meant for me. And that's where everything began. I trusted him. Completely. I didn't check his phone. I didn't ask who he was texting. I didn't make scenes. I always believed healthy love is built on trust, not control. That afternoon I was sitting in my living room, barefoot, my hair in a messy bun. We had talked just hours before. He told me he was exhausted, that work was draining him. I need to disconnect for a couple of days, he said. I told him I understood. Because when you love someone, you understand. Or at least you think you do. The message popped up on his screen while he was in the shower. I wasn't looking for anything. It just vibrated. And I saw a name that made my blood run cold. His ex. I opened the chat. I shouldn't have. I know. But I did. Thank you for coming. Your son was so happy. He missed you. Your son. I stared at those two words like they were written in fire. He had never told me he had a child. Never. My heart was pounding in my throat, like someone was squeezing it with their hand. I kept reading. It was nice seeing you again. Even if it's just for these few days. I'll always be there for him. And for you. That wasn't just a father visiting his child. It was something more. And the worst part wasn't discovering he had a child. It wasn't knowing he traveled without telling me. It wasn't even finding out he was seeing his ex. The worst part was that same morning he had told me, I can't travel right now. I don't have the money. And yet he traveled. Just not with me. When he came out of the shower, I looked at him. And I think in that moment he knew everything had changed. There's a certain way you look at someone when you discover a lie. It's not anger. It's not even sadness. It's disappointment. I asked him directly. No yelling. Do you have a child? His face went blank. Then came the first lie. Who told you that? That answer was confirmation. When someone answers a question with another question, they're not clarifying. They're buying time. I showed him the message. And then the story shifted. I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd react like this. That's when the game started. Do you see it? He traveled. He hid a child from me. He met up with his ex. He lied to my face. And somehow, the conversation started revolving around my reaction. You're too jealous. You always make drama. It's not what you think. I just went for my son. Nothing happened. That word. Nothing. As if I were stupid. As if the secret was insignificant. But it wasn't just the trip. It was the conscious decision to hide it. To plan it. To buy the ticket. To pack a bag. To smile at me while saying he was exhausted. And then try to make me feel guilty. There was a moment when I almost believed him. Yes. I'll admit it. He said he was afraid of losing me. That his past was complicated. That he didn't know how to tell me about the child. That I was important to him. And I wanted to believe him. Because when you love someone, you want to save what's already broken. But something inside me, small, quiet, kept whispering that love isn't built on secrets. I asked him if his ex knew about me. He went silent. That silence was the answer. She didn't know. I was the invisible one. The parallel relationship. The woman who trusted him while he lived two versions of his life. That's when I felt something different from pain. I felt clarity. There wasn't screaming. No dramatic movie scene. No broken glasses or explosive insults. I just looked at him and said, it doesn't hurt that you have a child. It hurts that you hid him from me. It doesn't hurt that you see him. It hurts that you lied. And I'm not going to compete with your past or your lies. He got angry. Of course he did. When someone loses control of the narrative, they get upset. You're exaggerating. You're destroying everything because of your pride. I never cheated on you. Never? Cheating isn't always physical. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's a whole life you didn't know existed. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every past conversation. Every time he changed the subject. Every busy weekend. Every call he ended quickly. The pieces started fitting together. And it hurt even more. Because it wasn't an impulsive mistake. It was ongoing. Planned. Maybe watching this right now, you're also putting pieces together. Maybe you're remembering details that once seemed small. Maybe you're doubting yourself. I understand. Because the most dangerous thing isn't the lie. It's when you start questioning your own intuition. The next day, he tried to fix it. Flowers. Long messages. Crying voice notes. Promises. He said I was his present. That his ex was just the past. That the trip was impulsive. But it wasn't impulsive. It was a choice. And real love doesn't hide you. I ended it. And yes, it hurt. It hurts to let go of someone you still love. It hurts to accept that the story you imagined doesn't exist. It hurts to admit you were honest with someone who wasn't honest with you. But it hurts more to stay. To stay knowing every future trip will bring anxiety. That every notification will make your stomach drop. That every trust me will sound hollow. I didn't want to become the woman who checks phones, who doubts everything, who lives in constant suspicion. I wanted peace. The weeks after were hard. I won't lie. There were days I missed his voice. His laugh. The nights watching shows together. The plans that will never happen. But there was something new too. Silence. And in that silence, I started hearing myself. I realized we often justify the unjustifiable because we're afraid of being alone. We convince ourselves that no one is perfect. That everyone has a past. That we're overreacting. But there's a difference between accepting imperfections and accepting deception. I didn't hate him. That was the strangest part. I just understood he wasn't the person I wanted to build my future with. Because if there are secrets that big in the beginning, what comes next? Later I found out he tried to get back together with his ex. It didn't surprise me. What did surprise me was that I didn't feel jealous anymore. I felt relief. Because I realized I didn't lose someone who loved me. I lost someone who didn't know how to value me. And that changes everything. If you're going through something similar, let me tell you this from the bottom of my heart. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're not asking for too much by wanting honesty. Loyalty isn't a luxury. It's the bare minimum. Sometimes we think ending things means failing. But it doesn't. Failing is staying where you're slowly being broken. Ending something can also be an act of self-love. And yes, it's hard. Very hard. But the peace that comes after is priceless. Today, when I look back, I see the signs I ignored. The vague comments. The incomplete stories. The gaps in his past that I filled with optimistic assumptions. I learned something painful. When someone wants to hide something, they'll always find a way. And when someone wants to build with you, they will too. It's not about forbidding someone from seeing their child. That would be unfair. It's about transparency. Respect. Including you in their reality. Because if you're their partner, you deserve the whole truth. Not an edited version. Love shouldn't feel like a police investigation. You shouldn't be searching for clues. You shouldn't be comparing schedules. You shouldn't feel anxious every time they say, I'm stepping out for a bit. Love should feel safe. Not perfect, but safe. Sometimes people ask me if I would go back if he changed. The answer is no. Not because I hate him. Not because I want revenge. But because broken trust is never the same again. You can glue glass back together, but you'll always see the cracks. And I want to end with something important. If you're thinking about being unfaithful, if you're considering hiding something to avoid problems, if you believe a small lie doesn't hurt, let me tell you something. It does. You don't just break the other person. You break yourself. You lose credibility. You lose respect. You lose something that is almost impossible to recover. Betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. And it still leaves deep scars. I chose to walk away. I chose the short pain of ending it, instead of the long pain of staying. I chose to face the sadness, instead of living in suspicion. I chose to respect myself. And if you're watching this with your heart in pieces, I want you to know the pain isn't forever. Clarity comes. Strength shows up when you least expect it. Don't settle for crumbs of love. Don't stay where you're hidden. Don't accept blame that isn't yours. Real love doesn't need secrets. And you deserve a love that tells you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts.